Hey, what's going on, you guys? Wanted to make a review of the 2000X He-Man starter kit. So we have here the 2000X version of He-Man and Skeletor. These are updated from the 80s versions. Just wanted to show you them both together to start out this video. Let's start by taking a look at He-Man, and then from there we'll go to Skeletor. So this version of He-Man was updated from the 80s version. The 80s version was shorter and a little bit more compact. They added some definition to the legs of the character, and changed the haircut to be a little bit more modern. This was in response to the influx of anime that was coming into America during this time. And the Masters of the Universe franchise at Mattel wanted to compete with, adding some giant weapons like this axe. I've gone over it before, but it's really like the size of his body. Basically, it's just outrageously huge. The power sword is different from the original sword that was on the 80s figure, and that's been a source of, I don't know, just a pain point, you could say, in the fan base. But this sword is more technological, kind of more modernized. A lot of the fan base preferred that simple classic sword look. I personally don't mind this. This is the version that I grew up with, and so it's actually fine with me. I have a lot of nostalgia with it, but as you can see, it transforms. If you watched the Mike Young cartoon, this transforms every time He-Man changes from Adam into He-Man. It's kind of a process. Part of the process, I really enjoyed that part of the sword, how it reminded me when I got it of kind of an elvish weapon, but I know it's definitely not. Okay, and then you have the shield, which is basically, if I can get it off, basically the same as the original shield, just updated with some circuits, kind of like the sword and the rest of his equipment. As far as the figure himself goes, I've already gone over how he's much more defined, more ripped. He's got some bigger arms, but also taller, and a more texturized hairstyle, which was, again, in response to that anime that was coming in during the early 2000s. The last thing I wanted to bring up was that interesting insignia on his chest. Different than the original Iron Cross that was present in the original He-Man figures. Overall, I really like this figure. I think they did a great job on the sculpt. The drawback is, for many people, the lack of articulation. There's a little bit of shoulder, a little bit of head, wrist. Aside from that, not a ton going on for articulation, kind of more like a statue. But for what it is, the sculpt is beautiful. I really, really appreciate the detail and just the update to that original action figure. In my opinion, this is the one that is the best as far as the sculpt goes out of all the He-Man figures. This is my favorite one. Okay, so let me move on to Skeletor. Okay, so here we have Skeletor. Just crazy, crazy menacing. The original figure was spooky, he had a skull head, but nowhere close to the amount of menace coming from this updated version. I really like the pose they've got him in. He's asymmetrical, kind of in a contrapposto pose. The downside, again, is not really any articulation. The fad in the time was kind of more the action feature. So this guy, you can have him stab with his sword. Not really popular today, but I think the figure still holds up because, again, of that amazing sculpt that the figure has. A change they made to the original design, you know, similar to He-Man, is taller, kind of maybe a little bit less bulky, more streamlined, but then more defined, more definition. So a change they made here was Skeletor's sword can come apart into two pieces. Originally, they were doing this kind of in the same vein of the original characters. Skeletor and He-Man both had half of the power sword, and you know, you can put those together, and then whoever puts them together is the one who has the power of the universe. That was the initial thought behind this, you know, detachable sword piece, but that didn't become part of the canon. But very interesting, very cool design for the sword, for the character overall. That action feature, again, not crazy popular in today's time, but in the day, with all the Lord of the Rings figures that were coming out, they all had action figures similar to this, but very cool figure. Now, no He-Man starter kit would be complete without their humongous cats that they ride. So I wanted to bring out first the Battle Cat figure. So here you can see it's just got a lot going on there. These two, you know, blasters that can shoot out some rockets. There's this claw armor, this face armor, all of it can come off. It's a big, cool, kind of a tiger, and He-Man fits on it really well. It looks like he's riding it. I really like it. The action feature, if you press this button here, the cat moves its arm a little bit. Again, a lot of action features in this line, so very cool there. And then I wanted to finish off by showing Panthor and Skeletor here together. I really like this version of Panthor. He is kind of fuzzy. I don't know what that's called exactly, but he's got some fuzz on him, a lot of rockets he can shoot. Skeletor looks great on top of him. So yeah, really like these figures. That's kind of the starter pack version of what you can get.
In the shadows, he fights with fire, a blade of steel, his heart's desire. Through the tempest, he carries her name, a warrior's quest, igniting the flame. In the castle, the princess wakes, dreams of a love that fate orchestrates. Under starlit skies, their destinies bind, two worlds collide.
Well, all right, I appreciate you watching and taking the time. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.
Hearts intertwined, brave.